Welcome back to the greenhouse, everyone. I apologize, my nose is kind of congested, but I'm not sick, so I don't know what's going on, but it's freezing outside right now. That could be part of it, because I was out there working. We got maybe 10, 11 degrees. We're almost into the single digits. It's freezing this morning. The sun is just barely coming out behind the clouds. We don't have much solar activity. We're just banking all these systems and pulsing them. I had just started a fire out here because we're going to be talking about wood ash and what I'm going to do with wood ash. And it's so warm in here now that I'm in a t-shirt. I had my Carhartt, my sweatshirt, my hat. I was bundled up. And upon first arrival in the greenhouse with our solar, compost heating, and just the thermal mass of the greenhouse, with those frigid temperatures, we were sitting about 47 degrees next to the door and about 50-51 degrees in the center of the greenhouse. Now that's at the mid-level, but that's pretty darn good for overnight temperatures compared to the outside ambient temperatures. Now I want to share what we're doing and what we've done with our wood ash. Now in the greenhouse, basically, a little bit outside the greenhouse, but mostly pertaining to things we've done inside our greenhouse. So uses for wood ash inside the greenhouse. If that sounds interesting, please consider subscribing. I would like to issue a huge thank you to everyone who is subscribed. You guys make this possible. So let's get into today's video. We've got a huge resource of free wood chips, and most of the time it is hardwoods. Sometimes we get some pines, some softer woods and stuff, but most of the time it is hardwood, and we've got decent solid chunks of wood that have a good mass to them. My back is burning over here. I'm a little close to this fire. So we've got these wood chips, and then we've got a whole bucket that I've kind of ran through here, but we've got a log and a bunch of sticks, just yard sticks, yard waste. We've got 3 acres here and a ton of trees, and the amount of yard waste shed that we get is comparative. We have a huge burn pile that we just throw stuff on because we don't always chop it up, we don't always have time, and when we're pruning out all of the mulberry trees and all of the waste stuff that is growing in our pine trees, those mulberries grow rapidly, so we do have a lot of mulberries that the birds spread around. We have a tree that we leave out back, and all of those berries just get spread around the property, and then in a matter of a year or two, you've got a decent sized mulberry tree you've got to try and get rid of. Dealing with all of that waste in any way possible, we try to waste nothing. So we've got all those free wood chips and all of the free sticks, any type of free wood that we can get our hands on. We try to pick up wood on the side of the road, as long as it's not like treated wood, so you're not having to deal with nasty chemicals and stuff. If we do get treated wood, we use it for our forge outside, so it's just venting right out. We're not getting all of that built up as soot in our greenhouse stove here, so trying to just use the purest stuff we can to burn through the greenhouse stove so we can actually save all of the ash from it. Now, we've been saving a little bit of ash in this Tidy Cats bucket. This wood ash is such a free, great resource that nobody really picks up on. I see a few videos here and there, and there's some websites relating to it, but we can really reuse a lot of wood ash, and I guess a lot of people don't create much ash anymore like they used to. I mean, bakeries and everything, pizza ovens, all types of stuff was powered by wood fire, and some of them still do till this day. Everybody had a wood burning stove in their house and garage. So times have definitely changed, but we are still using the old Neanderthal method of burning wood in the greenhouse and doing experiments with it. I've got more building upon this system right here, so stay tuned for heating this tank with our stove. We're going to do some experimenting very quickly with that. Now that we've got all of our compost heating operating and all of our tunnels up, most of our beds are planted. You can see down here we created ourselves a new bed. So with that new bed down here, we took a little bit of our wood ash, and I had already gone and sprinkled a little bit. I can sprinkle a little more, so I've got this sifter I picked up for maybe $5 or something. So you can see all of these LOIs, loss on ignitions, things that just didn't burn. That's a technical term for things that didn't burn. So LOIs are what you want to get out. So we just go through and sift a little bit, especially when we're using it for bricks and stuff like that. So we can take all of this sifted ash down in the bottom here. We've got all this finely sifted through ash, and we can just simply take that, dust it very lightly over the bed here. So you can see we just barely dusted it. I had already dusted it and mixed it up. We'll either come through in water or we'll just take the soil and remix it in, and it is pretty well amended. That's potassium, calcium, lots of good stuff in there, alkaline, so it will counteract any acidity that we possibly have in the soil from water or anything like that, or in the soil itself. So that's just a very simple, straightforward, quick use of top dressing that and amending your soil with it. Now you can see this little bed here, and I want to state we don't overdo it. You can burn and scorch your plants, and especially with this where we're sprouting new seeds, we can use that for pest protection, amending. Very, very versatile to throw wood ash, especially in a new bed. And we just basically excavated that bed out, pushed the dry, not as rich soil over, and we filled it back in. You can see the new square. And we just had taken that soil from down here on the other side. We slowly pushed all of this soil over, and it was mounded up where the shovel is. So we kind of just kept making a basin so we can keep all of this flooded. We can just come through and flood all of these plants, and everything seems to be doing wonderfully. All of this rich soil, it's got a bunch of sand and compost and all types of stuff mixed in it. Nice good stuff. Down here where we had used that soil, we hadn't really grown a whole lot, and it was kind of experimental area and storage area. So along with the other bed down there, we are just trying to plant out everything and create new beds wherever we can. Those wood chips are great. I can just pour them right out of a bucket or shovel them right in. This was a old coal burning stove, so it has a pot belly. It was a smaller mouth, so getting logs in there is a little tricky. I've got the tool for it. We can check that out. So being able to fit a larger log like that in this little mouth is not possible. So with that, take my oven off here real quick, and we've got this tool back here. So this tool actually pops that up. We can move all that stuff. So that little tool makes it quite easy to be able to get that in there and drop a larger log in the top. So we aren't restricted to one source or the other. We can use either or, and there is methods of getting that in there when it won't fit through the actual chute. We use this to amend our soil like I just showed. We can throw it in our chicken's bed or in the dust beds where they ruffle their feathers in the soil and basically take dirt baths. So that is a good form of pest protection. Wood ash is a great form of pest protection in the greenhouse and out in the chicken run. It prevents slugs, it prevents rodents, or it deters rodents. I won't say it prevents them, but it greatly deters rodents. So we can sprinkle wood ash all around the outside. We can use the non-toxic rodent spray. There's a lot of different methods for preventing rodents, but the leafy green eating bugs, the wood ash really does help them. You can dust it on your plants also, and it keeps most of those leafy green eating bugs away from the plant itself. We use wood ash as a great additive to our compost, and any compost ring we do, even our large compost heater. So we have ourselves another load of wood chips outside. The guys dumped another load of wood chips aside from the 10, 11, 12 tons we had dumped originally. So we may dump more wood chips, film another video on what we're adding to the pile, and the wood ash mixed with water, chicken poo, any nitrogen slurry inoculant that we can gather to dump on this and make even more. So aside from compost, we can make ourselves some DIY bricks here. Now this is a homemade brick right here, made with these hands in this greenhouse with this soil with this wood ash. Now added a little bit of water and sand, and we fired it up, and it turned into a real brick. I mean, it's super dense, holds a lot of thermal energy in it. Pretty solid, pretty durable. About as durable as a regular brick. It will break if you drop it or throw it. So that was probably one of the coolest things, along with like our DIY concrete. Now we don't have to fire these. We actually fire the ash itself and make some clinker. So this Subscribe brick was 100% DIY concrete. My son had a few that he painted and stuff just as an experiment, just DIY concrete with sand, ash, soil, and a little bit of water and sand as aggregate. So there's a ton of ways to recycle the wood ash in the greenhouse, and using it outside the greenhouse is pretty easy too. I mean, just spreading it throughout your garden in the fall time, not too heavily, throwing it on compost piles, watering it in, it helps build that heat. There is a ton of uses for the wood ash itself. When we're making these bricks and DIY cement and stuff, we're using a little jig or a mold. So we make our own little mold for a brick, and then we use some ash in water to make bubbly water, and we can refine the ash. And we made ourselves lye water that we were going to filter as an alkaline source. We were going to filter methane through it, but we never got that far in the process, which that's something I want to pick back up on and get a nice biogester bag or something to create a little bit of methane heat. But that is a whole nother project. So I just wanted to share some of the simple uses that we have for this wood ash as we're finding a excess amount of ash in our possession. So we're always cleaning out the stove, and we're finding ourselves using it a lot more since my sons and I can come out here and cook on it a little easier using a little greenhouse oven or using a stovetop cast iron. So there's a lot of potential for having a stove in the greenhouse aside from just heating. So I'd like to thank you guys. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below, and I will see you guys in the next video.